Hey everyone, welcome back to the Starvinity universe. This is Grant Greguda, the creator of Starvinity. I'd like to talk about the Earth Civil War in my universe, in my Starvinity universe. The Earth Civil War, we're reading this from Fandom, a war that occurred during the 4th millennium AD between the God Emperor of humanity and his disciples against the nations of Earth and their colonies. Primarily a war that occurred in the Earth-Terra star system during the years of 2030, 22 AD, and 3096 AD. The war ended with the God Emperor conquering Earth itself in the year 3096 AD. Billions lost their lives during the war. After the war ended, the fragments of what was left of the various national armies and of the United Peacekeeping Forces of Earth formed a new resistance, calling themselves the United Resistance Front, and continued to fight on after the end of the Earth Civil War, not willing to admit defeat against the rising new empire of the Emperor. Now, the Earth Civil War was a conflict that was started for many reasons. I don't want to give away too much exactly right now, but the Earth Civil War was a very important and pinnacle moment in the Starvinity universe history because that's when the God Emperor of humanity gained power. He gained power beginning at Pluto in the Earth system, Earth-Terra system, Pluto. And because Pluto at this time, during the Earth Civil War in the 4th millennium AD, was a mining colony mostly. It had millions of colonists, but mostly was mining, and the people living on Pluto at this time were mostly taken advantage of, and they were considered the outcasts of society in a way. But the God Emperor, having powers and abilities, almost magical, some would say, was able to convince a great majority of those on Pluto that he was in fact the reincarnation of God on Earth, or God within the universe. And a lot of the people on Pluto worshipped him as God, as the God over all of humanity. He organized those people on Pluto that joined him into the All-Seeing Eyes. The All-Seeing Eyes is the God Emperor's primary tool at this time, the 4th millennium. Not the current story of the 7th millennium, but in the 4th millennium during the Earth Civil War. The All-Seeing Eyes were the God Emperor's main force to fight his enemies. The All-Seeing Eyes were fanatical and worshipped him with blind ignorance, complete devotion. They followed any orders that the God Emperor gave, killing innocents and civilians alike, soldiers. They fought in the shadows and many times, because at this time in the 4th millennium, the United Peacekeeping Forces of Earth numbered in the tens of millions, their soldiers. And Earth itself was populated by trillions of people. In the fourth millennium, around 4 trillion? 4 trillion, yeah. About 4 trillion people in the 4th millennium. So the God Emperor could not exactly take over Earth with a few million people, even if they were completely devoted. So they had to fight in the shadows in the beginning until he started gaining more power. He focused on Pluto first because that's where his first devout followers followed him. After Pluto, he focused on Venus and the other planets within the Terra system. But during the Earth Civil War, he attacked many worlds in different star systems, but mainly focused on the important worlds within the Terra system, within the Earth-Terra system. Mars, Venus, and Pluto were his primary worlds during the Earth Civil War. He conquered Mars after what they called the Mars Massacre. He sent off a powerful weapon, space weapon, that disabled the defense fleets around Mars and killed millions within the primary trading and industrial stations above Mars, allowing him to conquer Mars freely. The people of Mars pretty much gave up and surrendered after the defense fleets were completely disabled. After that battle, though, after the battle where he conquered Mars, the United Peacekeeping Forces of Earth were able to defend themselves against that weapon. So it only worked a couple times for the God Emperor. And it was a new and experimental weapon, so sometimes it failed. A couple of battles he tried to use it, he failed at using it, but it did succeed at Mars, sadly. But not sadly for him, but sadly for the people of Mars at that time. Those millions who died in that station were very important to Earth at that time. The station was, Mars itself was very important to the powers of Earth. And at this time, Earth is somewhat united, but still fractured in a way. Earth is not united like in Star Trek, but it is somewhat united. Like, you know how Star Trek, there's the United Federation of Planets, and all nations, it's pretty much like a one world government. Well, in Starvinity, it was a one world government in a way in the 4th millennium AD, but there were still individual nations. Individual nations still had somewhat autonomy. They had their own colonies, China, America, Japan, Russia, India, the United Middle East Alliance, the African Union, the European Union, the South American Union. All of these, and there's many more unions within the unions on Earth. Many of them had their own colonies on different worlds. After the Earth Civil War, after they lost, the different nations of Earth decided to truly become more united, but they were still fractured, because of course division will probably never end in a way, but we can still stay united and peaceful. But it is a different universe, it is a different dimension, it is a different reality, an alternate reality. So after the end of the Earth Civil War, the forces of Earth and the nations of Earth created the New Earth Union, which was a new political system to agree for self-defense against the Dominion. But during the Earth Civil War, there's much more that happened. I could go on for hours, days, talking about each little battle and each different conflict and each character and each person involved within the Earth Civil War, but I'm trying to give a quick overview of it in a way. It might be a little jumbled, but that is somewhat of a quick overview. There's much more that could be said about the Earth Civil War. If you want certain details, just let me know and I can go over those certain details and explain more about the Earth Civil War. But in the Starvinity universe, it's just lore. It's not, in the Starvinity universe, the Earth Civil War is not exactly center stage in the current storyline, because it happened 3,000 years before the current storyline, which is in the 7th millennium AD. So a 3,000-year-old war, people still remember it. Some, not individual people, but there are some aliens who remember the Earth Civil War, who fought during the Earth Civil War, and they're still alive. The God Emperor is still alive in the 7th millennium. The God Emperor is thousands of years old. Mysterious figure, to say the least. Magical powers. He is a he. At least that's what people think. He, in the 7th millennium, it's very different than what it was in the 4th millennium. In the beginning, he came out of the shadows, out of nowhere. No one who knew who he was, but he claimed to be God, and people followed him. Slowly but surely. Many worlds completely denied him and kicked him out, of course, in the 4th millennium. What else can I say about the Earth Civil War? Earth was pretty much united in the 4th millennium. I know I said they weren't super united, but they were somewhat united. All nations working together for the betterment of humankind. But they still each had their own goals, in a way. Hundreds of different colonies on different worlds, different star systems. In the 4th millennium, they had already developed jump drives, which are derived from ancient alien technology in this universe. They found that technology a long time before the 4th millennium, but they developed it, and during the 4th millennium, these jump drives allowed starships to jump anywhere in charted space instantly. Going hundreds of light years in an instant, in 1 second. Hundreds of light years. But the jump drives at the 4th millennium required sometimes days to cool down to allow them to jump again. Some drives, experimental, could cool down within a couple hours. Some took 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours. It depends on what drive it was. Space drives, These drives were, even in the 4th millennium and into the 7th millennium, are still powered by reverse singularity cores. They're pretty much singularity cores that are kind of like bottle universes in a way, that are spewing out, or bottle black holes in a way, because it's a singularity, it's a black hole. But it could be multiple universes within the black hole spewing out endless energy, because it's reverse singularity. It's not sucking in energy, it's spewing out endless energy from other dimensions and other pocket universes, endless energy. So, majority of ships are powered by these reverse singularity drives, even in the 4th millennium. Some aren't, but the majority of powerful battleships were. The powerful fleets, the main forces of Earth were powered by those. Merchant ships were not, but but that's just a little silly little side thing of their machines that they were using, and some of it. Battles were haphazard because the United Peacekeeping Forces of Earth were not ready for how brutal the God Emperor would be with his all-seeing eyes. He was beyond brutal compared to even other alien races, even the Azkar. He didn't care about collateral damage in the Earth Civil War. He did whatever was necessary to win. And even though it took him, 74 years? 74 years to win the Earth Civil War, and for Earth to pretty much give up and retreat to their colonies. It was still brutal throughout those 74 years. But that is a short overview. I could go into more detail endlessly, but I will leave that for other videos and for questions if anyone has them, and I will go into more detail within each specific time period or different parts within the Earth Civil War if you have a specific question about specific characters or specific battles. I have there are lots of different articles and different within the fandom of Starvinity. Go ahead and check it out on fandom. Just write down Starvinity fandom, and it'll pop right up on the search. But be sure to subscribe, comment, share. If you love sci-fi and you know other people that love sci-fi, talk about it, because there's going to be a lot more content coming out. And I do plan on making some of these stories into movies. It's going to be low budget, but I'm going to do my best. And I have a lot of other people that are going to be helping me to make these movies. And I hope that you stick around and enjoy yourselves. And I hope to continue to create more Starvinity. I hope all of you have a good day now. Bye.